Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo. We're here today with some more Battlefield 1 commentary. This is actually going to apply to Battlefield as a franchise since the days of BF3. We're going to be talking about the best class in Battlefield. Which, this is an obvious answer. Everyone knows it. There are written opinions all around the world that prove that this is the case. That undoubtedly, undeniably so, the best class in Battlefield is the support class. Now, obviously, if you can't tell, I am just joking. There are multiple classes in Battlefield. They're all wonderful in their own way. Some are hated, some are loved. They all have their own purposes when actually on the battlefield. But we're actually going to talk about my favorite class, which, you know, because it's my favorite class, I think it's the best class and probably one of the most enjoyable classes to play once you really get deep with it, get all sort of zen. Of course, throughout the course of this video, I applaud you guys to go ahead and post a comment down in the comment section below, letting me know what your favorite class of the Battlefield franchise has been since Battlefield 3. You can include your time with the Battlefield 1 Alpha if you'd like to. I know I'm going to. We're also going to talk a little bit about how the support class is being handled here in BF1. So, the support class. When did I first fall in love with this wonderful lead-slinging bit of madness? Well, it goes back to the days of the Battlefield 3 beta, actually, where I fell in love with my M249 with the suppressor and a M345 scope. I don't actually remember the name of the optic, but you know what I'm talking about. It's a 3.5 zoom optic. It is incredible for close and medium and also some long-range engagements. And of course, the SAW is just a beautiful, beautiful beast. And it was really powerful back in the days of the BF3 beta. This was when they were first implementing the suppression mechanic into the franchise, and it was a little bit too powerful. You got a lot of points just for, you know, slinging bullets over the top of people's heads, but it was the first time that I felt like a developer had been able to introduce a class, a role into a shooter where the player was rewarded immensely for not actually killing people, but more so for just scaring the crap out of them. And to me, that was a really amazing piece of design that really made me fall in love with the class, and I just found it exceptionally enjoyable to play, especially when you realized all the nuances of the class. And a lot of those nuances, in fact, all of them, I think, are still here and relevant inside of BF1. You know, a big part of being a really successful support gunner is, number one, knowing your weapon, understanding its recoil, understanding how and where you can engage enemies best, and also having that tactical awareness, really focusing on how you place yourself on the map. You know, you can't just sit in one area. Your setup is just as important as everything else going on in the game. I often felt that the support class in many ways was like the recon. And you have to really consider where you're going to shoot from, you know, what are your sort of escape routes, what are your line of sights, you know, are you giving yourself the highest number of line of sights on a specific target while defending or attacking it. I've really always enjoyed the defending aspect of the game, especially when we talk Conquest or Rush when playing the support role, mostly because people tend to feed into different lines of sight. It definitely makes it easier to set up really big, you know, firepower to really get the damage on the enemy where you need it. And that's always been a big thing for me about the support class, is my priorities go like this. Number one at the top of the list is to just damage enemies. I'm not even worried about killing them. Obviously, if I can get a kill, that's great. But if I can lay even, you know, 5 or 6 rounds of damage on an individual, that's going to drop their health significantly. And if they're rushing in to attack an objective that my team is defending, that's going to make it that much easier for my team to clean up. That is going to provide my team with an exceptional layer of support without ever actually landing a kill. Now, second on that list is suppression, you know, just getting the fire where I need it. You got that pesky sniper that's mid-range trying to engage your team while you're defending an objective. Get some fire on them, you know, do what you need to do, throw out a spot, lay the fire on them, and make sure that they are struggling every second to get any of those shots on your team. And of course, last on that list is actually going for kills. If I see someone out in the open, I know I can clean up a kill and land it, I'm of course going to go ahead and take it. Those three kind of mesh really close together though, as much as they are in a sort of order for me. So for me, the support gunner class, as you can tell, has always been a bit more than just firing rounds with ridiculously oversized drum magazines. It's, you know, there's a lot of it to me that is genuinely about supporting your team. It's about providing them with the best possible setup in a defensive or even in an offensive situation. There's something really satisfying about that experience. And when you blend it with some really great pieces of firepower, like the M249 and like the MG15 NA suppressor that I have here in this Battlefield 1 footage, throw on a bipod, find a great windowsill and a great vantage point, and really lay down that firepower, there is nothing more satisfying. Now this MG15 that I have, this variant of it actually also has an optic on it. It's got sort of a microscope that makes it incredibly effective, even out to longer ranges. And I had a lot of fun with this thing. It was good even at close quarters and medium range. It allowed me to be much more effective when engaging targets. I could fire in more controlled bursts, even though I often get carried away, I must admit, when it comes to holding the trigger. I mean, you give me a 200-round drum magazine, and I'm going to struggle to not just keep holding it down. But once you really get your hands around this, your hands and your mind, I should say, around this LMG, it is just unbelievably effective. And I had a really great match, the footage you guys are seeing right here. Part of that was actually because I was comboed with a really great medic. You know, I think the support role, more so than the assault role, works really, really well with a great medic. You know, not only can the medic be there to clean up some of the kills that you maybe don't get, he's there to cover you while you're reloading. He's there to, of course, provide you with, you know, with health, and you're also, of course, mutually going to provide him with ammunition, while also providing ammunition to the rest of your team. So we had a really great piece of symbiosis going on here. This was a really nice symbiotic relationship, me and this hybrid guy. He was an outstanding medic, and it led to us really locking down a couple of the points. I would say at times with just like 2 of us. We did end up losing, but the match was really close, and it was probably one of the best, you know, infantry-focused matches I had of Conquest since I started playing the beta. So this was a lot of fun for me. Now, let's talk a little bit about how the support class feels inside of BF1 compared to past Battlefields. I'd say that it feels more like it did back in the days of Battlefield 3. You know, bipods are very important. I feel like a lot of the early weapons that you get for the support class are actually kind of weak, either because they lack a bipod, or simply because, you know, DICE has really balanced them in a way to make them less effective than the assault rifles. They don't seem to do as much damage per shot. They have a lot of bounce and spread even when being fired from a standstill, and if you try and fire them while moving, you're pretty much SOL. Hip firing, even the Lewis gun. The Lewis gun is awful when you hip fire it. So I think it makes more sense to really go ahead, get yourself something like the MG15, recognize the power of the weapon from a supported fire position, and then use that to maximize your potential on the battlefield. Like I said, it just reminds me so much of playing the support class in BF3. My problem with the support class in BF4 was, at the end of the day, they ended up modifying it so much that I felt it was too powerful when players were, like, on the move, just using, you know, like, foregrips. You never really saw someone with a bipod in the late days of BF4. Everyone was running foregrips, like on the LSAT and the M249, and just being incredibly effective with hip fire. And I never thought that was right. I always thought, like, you know, why not make the class more powerful, you know, from that supported fire position, and have that be, you know, the downside is that you really have to be in a supported fire position. And that just plays into the enjoyment of the whole class for me. As I mentioned, you know, it's all about maintaining that mobility. Sometimes you got to move from building to building. You know, you might be defending the same point for 5 minutes, but why stay in the same building? You know, I'll stay in a building for maybe a couple minutes. If I don't see any enemy movement or contacts, I'll consider what's going on the map. I'll, you know, re-navigate. I'll move myself somewhere else. I'll get a new line of sight, and I'll continue to do my job. And I'll keep bouncing around, going from building to building, vantage point to vantage point, doing as best as I can to cover whatever it is I'm trying to defend or attack. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the support class. A little bit more complicated than maybe you thought it was, and for that reason, it is my all-time favorite class in the Battlefield franchise, at least since the days of Battlefield 3. Now, I hope you guys have an outstanding weekend, a happy Friday, a happy Saturday, a happy Sunday. If you are here celebrating Labor Day, hopefully a happy Monday with no work as well. Maybe play some more of the BF1 beta. What I'd love you guys to do for me, though, is to go ahead and let me know down in the comment section below, as I mentioned, what has been your all-time favorite Battlefield class since the days of Battlefield 3. If you had to pick one class, what would it be? Why? And if you want to share some of your favorite firearms that you've employed on the battlefield throughout the years of the franchise, feel free to throw that in there as well. Anything else for me? Down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.